this is introducing Alice, Alice Mackay. That Alice invited me to call it Alice. I'm not being presumptuous here.
Yeah.
When did you first get a computer, and why was what
Oh,
prompted
when did
you?
I first get a computer? That's difficult. It was after my husband died,
Right.
and see, between 11 and 12 years ago. And it didn't replace him, of course, but it did fill a gap
Right.
in my life. And it just somehow or other was like Topsy. It just grew.
What do you use it mostly for now?
Still emails. 10 years ago or more, since I first went on QE2 with my late husband.
Uh-huh.
And yet I still get emails from people that we met there.
Right.
And it's all nationalities.
Yeah.
There's an American girl I owe her a letter at the moment, an email at the moment in New York, and it's who she's met and who we've met.
Right. Right.
It just goes on.
So it's lets you have contact with people that otherwise you probably wouldn't be able to.
I would never have known they existed.
Contact. Right. Right.
And if I'm looking for a tradesman, that is really good.
Uh-huh.
For instance, my home help retired,
Mm.
and I spent about 2 hours on the computer, and I've got a one.
So that was using the internet to look up.
That was through the internet, yes.
sort of-
And this thing, I mean, is wonderful because it never fails to give you an answer.
Yeah.
For instance, recently I was looking for a quarry that a friend has just bought, and it's in the Midlands.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally got a picture of it.
Right.
And it's another
Yeah.
useful for if you've been at the doctor and you don't quite understand. The computer will tell you.
Right. So you can look it up on the internet.
Yes.
And what do you enjoy most about the computer now?
Well, I look on the computer as a friend,
Right.
and I enjoy its company.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my grandmother, she thought when she got a radio first that, that was wonderful, that was company.
Uh-huh.
But now, as well as listening to something, I can ask questions, I can get answers.
Right. Right.
And anything I'm stuck with, the computer will tell you. I don't know how it does it, I don't care.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's just like a blinking consultant in the room
Right.
with you. And of course, you say, oh, I'll do that for about half an hour.
Uh-huh.
2 hours later, look at the time.
Right.
I have one friend, Joan, she won't have a computer for anything. It's purely imagination. I've got enough of that without being backed up by a computer.
Right.
And then a few days later she'll come in and say, oh, what about going to for a holiday, a few days?
Uh-huh.
I say yes. She says, well, let's have a look.
All right. So she gets you to do her searching.
I've got neuritis in both hands.
Right.
The computer's a great help with getting through something like that,
Right.
because you can tend to be a bit isolated.
Mm.
It's got to be a friend.
So how did you learn how to use it then, Alice?
I bought it, and it came with a book,
Mm-hmm.
which I read several times and then had a go at it with one finger. I kept onto the keyboard
Mm-hmm.
until I could pretty well do that without looking at it.
So it's kind of picking it up as you've gone along. And did you have anybody when you started that you could call on for?
Yes,
for
they help the aged.
No.
Anyway, they had a place in Gorgie,
Right.
and they used to go for 1 hour a week for 10 times.
Yeah.
And that was quite good. You got the hang of at least something about it.
Mm-hmm.
And well, they help me in all kinds of ways, and they'll help me with the computer too.
Mm.
Especially one very good friend of mine, and actually she's nearly blind, and she'll come along and do a bit in mine and I'll do a bit in hers.
Right.
We
Right.
get on fine, and it helps.